So, I am not a big moviegoer, but I did make an exception last night for a film I have been really looking forward to.
Oh yeah, Despicable Me 4. I love those little yellow guys and how they say banana.
Nick, you don't know me at all.
I got you, Catherine. I know your tastes. Costume dramas, preferably with classical music soundtracks.
That's right, Ruby. And just a few days ago, the costume drama to end all costume dramas, at least as far as I'm concerned, came out Widow Clicquot. Remember, guys, we all talked about this last week and we all agreed we'd see it together this weekend, or
Mhm.
at least see it separately this weekend, and then talk about it on this episode.
Oh yeah. I was just kidding around. My wife Zoe loves a good costume drama, so we went ahead and saw Widow Clicquot last night.
Yes, and for those listeners who don't know about this film, it's about the famous young widow, Barbe Nicole Ponsardin Clicquot, who turned the Clicquot Champagne House into the Veuve or Widow Clicquot Champagne House we know today as a powerhouse business.
Oh, yeah. I love those iconic saffron colored labels.
Yes, and I remember the book that this film was based on. I think it was published like 15 years ago or something, and I remember reading it and just loving the book. So I definitely recommend that listeners check out that book. The author's name is Tilar Metzeo, and I believe it's just called The Widow Clicquot.
So what do you guys think of the movie? Zoe and I thought Haley Bennett was really good in the lead role. She was actually in a Hillbilly Elegy, the movie based on JD Vance's memoir playing JD's sister. That movie got terrible reviews, but not because of Haley Bennett.
Timely.
Yeah.
Timely.
Well, I totally saw Widow Clicquot last night. That's what I did last night.
Oh yeah. So what did you think, Ruby?
Well, I found it somewhat charmless and dour.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. It was like so moody, it was so miserable, kind of fixated on these flashbacks about the widow's husband and how he descended into madness and opium addiction. And I was like, I want to know more about the Widow Clicquot. It just didn't spend enough time on all the kick ass innovations that Madame Clicquot introduced.
Yes, placing Francois at the emotional center of Barb Nicole's mission felt awkward and disingenuous, and the back and forth nature of the film kills the momentum.
Ruby?
Yeah, I've gotta say I was really disappointed when the movie ended and, all the achievements I thought were the most exciting moments in the book were all just listed in the closing credits. I really could have done without a couple of those scenes just focusing on actor Tom Sturridge's cheekbones. I mean, I'm sorry, but the guy died. The movie was supposed to be about the widow, not the husband.
Yeah, and the brooding score told us we were in the realm of a big drama.
Hey, Ruby, did you find yourself wishing the film itself generated enough feelings to match the score?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, you're reading directly from the New York Times review. You didn't see the movie, did you?
No, I totally saw it. In it, Barb Nicole Ponsardin Clicquot, Haley Bennett, is 26 when her husband Francois, Tom Sturridge, the heir to a champagne business, dies. There are two timelines. One shows
Okay, this is awkward. Yeah. So, Nick, how did you feel about the movie I asked you both to watch?
Oh, I think it might be the best wine film since Sideways, the indie comedy starring Paul Giamatti that premiered 20 years ago.
Okay, that is a direct quote from the San Francisco Chronicle review. Oh my gosh, what the heck, you guys?
listen, I watched a really funny video about a cat, and I thought that cat's performance was really great.
A former employee has spilled the tea about Visit Napa Valley. A deadbeat winery owner gets sued for shirking his bills. Treasury Wine Estates has gone full robot mode, and Pete Wells quit his job before his job quit him. All this and more on your favorite wine podcast, The Four Top. I'm your host, Catherine Cole, joined by Nick Toole and Ruby Welkovich. Guys, a really well-known figure stepped down from his job this week, and he just admitted that enough is enough and his body cannot take it anymore after 12 years in one of the most powerful positions in the land.
God, that's right. If you add up, let's see, 8 years as VP and then 4 years or will be 4 years as president, that is 12.
Oh, Nick, I think Catherine is referring to the New York Times article she had us read this week. Remember? It was entitled, After 12 Years of Reviewing Restaurants, I'm Leaving the Table.
Oh, okay. Jeez. Okay, that's right. That's right. Last week, Pete Wells, the New York Times food critic for the past 12 years, announced that he's leaving his post. That munching, crunching, imbibing, and then sitting down and writing all got to be too much.
Yeah, that's right. Wells writes that he feels ill from overstuffing himself on the job, but, quote, nobody wants to hear you complain. The work of going out to eat every night with hand chosen groups of friends and family sounds suspiciously like what other people do on vacation.
I sometimes complain that Catherine pays us to taste wine together and no one relates to my struggles. But seriously, I see how eating a lavish meal out every single night can get to be a bit much. And he admits that he's basically obese due to his grueling work schedule and is at risk for a whole slew of different diseases thanks to his diet.
Yeah, apparently there is a limit to how much you can get paid to drink or eat before it takes its toll. And, I hear about this a lot in the wine industry as well. There are a lot of, winemakers and folks in sales and management who are truly expected to be wining and dining until the late hours or the wee hours, multiple nights each week. And they always say it's exhausting. It requires a lot of stamina, a strong liver, and it's just really not good for you.
Yeah, Pete Wells seems to have had stamina, but he still describes waking up at night with his insides burning like a fire at a chemical factory.
Oof.
I I personally have chronic acid reflux, and that image really made me cringe.
I am right there with you, Nick. Well, cheers to Pete Wells for his insightful, entertaining, and witty writing, and may we all drink in moderation to his future health. May Pete Wells Pete well.
Be well, Pete Wells.
I could say I wish him well, but I feel like we've now really hit this really
Yeah,
hit
really
this
hit.
joke.
Yeah.
But I wish him well.
You know what we don't do enough of on this podcast, guys?
What?
Drink wine.
Ooh, I love this idea. Let's take a little work break and taste something.
Yes, and thanks to our sponsor, we have some delicious wines to taste. Over the past few episodes, we have been learning about the Méditerranée IGP, a wine growing region spanning 10 départements from the historic town of Vienne on the Rhone River all the way down to the island of Corsica.
Yes, this region consists of 10,500 hectares, or in American, that's about 26,000 acres of vines.
This geographic diversity is matched by a diversity of grape varieties, which allows for a lot of creativity. The winemakers of the Méditerranée IGP are not constrained by strict appellation rules, so they can make beautiful and unusual rosé blends.
Ooh, I am excited to try some of these wines. So, hey, folks, keep on listening and join us later in this episode while we taste some rosés.
Cheers.
Cheers. So, the San Francisco Chronicle is reporting that there is a lot of drama going down at the Visit Napa Valley offices this week, and that is Napa Valley's more or less tourism board.
Ooh, spill the tea.
Apparently, 10 current and former employees have alleged via a 4-page letter that the work environment there is toxic due to the abusive management style of President and CEO Lindsay Gallagher.
Yeah, it looks like the letter was unsigned, but the Chronicle was able to find someone willing to speak on the record about her experience working there. This former employee, Amy Olmstead, apparently was terminated in late 2022 after sharing her concerns with the Visit Napa Valley board.
Yes, Olmsted, who has nothing to lose at this point, described Gallagher's leadership as a, quote, reign of terror. Jeez.
So, according to this article, current and former employees filed a complaint against Gallagher in May, but employees felt that the investigation that followed was gravely mishandled and their concerns were inadequately addressed.
This is a pretty big deal. The Chronicle reports that Visit Napa Valley receives nearly $8.5 million in government grants annually, and Gallagher's salary is over $500,000. Woo.
Ooh, yikes.
Yeah, and Nick, maybe you and I need to get together and draft a letter about the reign of terror here at the foretop.
I have no idea what you're talking about. One sec. Catherine, could you please take off your headphones? I'm going to get to the bottom of these baseless accusations.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Okay, yeah, I was going to say, you ever notice how she likes to have her dog on screen every time she asks us to do something?
Yeah, it's like she's trying to intimidate us, and it works. I don't care that he's only 7 pounds. He's scary. Plus, she uses that thumbs up emoji reaction all the time on texts. It's like so passive aggressive.
Pablo, come here. I need your help. Here, boy.
Did you hear that? Straighten up, fix your hair. She's coming back with Pablo.
Hey, are you guys done talking? Hey, Ruby, anything you want to say to me?
Oh, no, not at all. Just a misunderstanding.
Guys, I recently heard about a famous movie actor who will go unnamed who, for years, would dine at a well known restaurant in New York and apparently never paid his bill. The friend who told me this story was completely outraged. But the funny thing is, my reaction was, I swear there are people in the wine industry who do that all the time, who just never pay for things. I feel like I hear this story a lot.
That reminds me of this big headline in the Napa Valley Register we saw recently. $400,000 in unpaid bills for grapes leads to slew of lawsuits against Napa winemaker. That's a lot of unpaid bills.
That's almost as much as they're paying Gallagher over at Visit Napa Valley. So, anyway, this Napa Valley Register story is in reference to a winery known as Bucella. The website is still up, but according to the register, the winery owner, named Bill Deem, has gone AWOL. He apparently owes more than $400,000 for fruit he didn't pay for last year. And in addition to that $400,000 number, his longstanding investor is also suing, stated that Deem has failed to make payments as part of a $2 million partnership agreement since 2020.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I feel like I hear this story or variations of it a lot in this industry. Like maybe not quite to the tune of $400,000 worth of fruit, but I do often hear folks complaining that people just don't pay for things. And it's not just winemakers not paying for fruit or winery owners. I also hear about retailers who don't pay wholesalers and wholesalers who don't pay winemakers. It's like this big, nasty circle. And often the folks who are telling me about these situations can't afford to sue, so they just kind of cut their losses.
I kind of feel like there's a question of the week here. Like, when bills don't get paid in the wine industry, who gets hurt? Or maybe even better, who are the worst deadbeats in the wine industry? Spill the tea, folks. Let's dish that dirt.
Dish the dirt.
I don't know, people may not want to name names on the Four Top social media feed, but I would be curious to hear from our listeners if they've encountered this situation and if they think it's unique to the wine industry or just something that happens in every industry. Tell us about the deadbeats, guys.
Do you guys mind if I kick things off with my wine?
As long as you don't mind if I pour and enjoy mine while you're talking.
All right, that's fair enough. All right, so I have Domaine des Cabas Le Rosé. I'm gonna pour this into a nice stemmed glass here. So I was trying to find this winery online, and it seemed like I could really only find the website for the charming inn that the winery runs, but not the winery. So I'm feeling like this is an undiscovered gem. So this winery is located between Ségolène and Sablé in northern Vaucluse, which is in turn located in the southern Rhône, so getting the influence of the Rhône River. So this rosé is made with Grenache, Cinsault, Carignan, Syrah, and Cunoise. And I'm getting this nice bouquet of like pomegranate and raspberry and brambles. There's definitely some spice notes, some white pepper, some grapefruity, maybe slight pithiness, and it's nice and floral. It's delicious.
Wow. I'm
Well,
jealous.
Nick, I think you're leaving out the most exciting part of the history that we found, which is that the origins of the domain date back to the 1300s when the papal seat was in Avignon.
Oh, Ruby, what do you got? What are you pouring?
Oh, wait, hold on. Maybe you can hear this. Let me know. Could you hear that?
Ah,
Mm.
yeah.
That is because I'm drinking a screw top rosé. I'm drinking Mystère from Ferry Lacombe. Hold on, let me pour it and give it a taste.
That screw top means it's beach ready. I'm just
Yep.
putting it out there.
It's beach ready. It's picnic ready.
Or yacht ready, depending on
Yacht
how
ready.
you roll.
True.
It smells delicious. It's really beautiful. I'm getting some strawberry. It's definitely berry forward. The vineyard is located in the heart of Provence between the Mount Saint Victoire and the Aurelian Hills. And it is a little bit of Grenache, Grenache Blanc, Caladoc, which is actually a cross between Grenache and Malbec.
I love Caladoc. I love that I don't get to taste it very often. So this is fun. And this is what's fun about the appellation, the IGP, is they allow, interesting alternative grapes to be blended in. And some more fun history here. On this one, it looks like the Ferry family that the chateau is named after, moved here in 1442, accompanying René of Anjou to Aix-en-Provence. Hey, maybe I can tell you guys about my wine, which I have far fewer notes on because this winery was founded in 1947, so I can't tie it back to a pope or Rene of Anjou. But there is kind of a cool other story that I want to share. And that is the grower is called Estendant, and it's a cooperative based in Brignoles in the heart of Provence. And I kind of love wines from cooperatives. These are groups of wine growers who get together. They, pool their fruit and they make a wine, and it's always a really good value. And often it's really well made. The bottling is called Mosaic, like mosaic, but it is organic certified. So that's pretty cool. These 300 wine growers got together and they're able to put together a certified organic rosé. So this wine is a blend of Grenache Noir, Cinsault, and Syrah, which is very typical for Provence. And I'm going to have a little taste. And you know what, guys? It's 95 degrees out, and I turned off my air conditioning and my fan so that we could record. And so, boy, does this look good right now. It's crisp, it's dry, it's minerally, it's linear, and it is so refreshing right now. All right, guys, how is our first group IGP Méditerranée rosé tasting?
Delicious.
Absolutely wonderful. I'm glad to have the rest of this bottle to enjoy with my wife.
I have to find some friends to picnic with.
I guess my 19-year-old will, I guess I can't say anything about whether or not she'll have a glass with me. In France, she could.
Yeah, in France she could. All right, guys, let's talk about wine tech.
Like virtual tastings?
Or like wine NFTs.
No, not so much. I mean, like low-tech tech, like a vineyard canopy, and high-tech tech, like automated barrel handling robots. Not wine on the World Wide Web tech.
Oh, I like that. Wine tech, yes. And thanks to a couple publications, I think we found this in Wine Business Magazine and also a publication called The Shout. We are catching up on a couple of dramatic changes Treasury Wine Estates is making in the name of sustainability and safety.
So, first up, we have a low tech solution to growing issues. At their Canunga Hill vineyard in the Barossa Valley of Australia, Treasury Wine Estates recently installed a nylon canopy over 14 hectares, that's almost 35 acres, of Shiraz and Cabernet Sauvignon grapes that are typically bound for wines made by their brand Penfolds.
Apparently, they were inspired by similar methods used by citrus growers. The canopy will reduce the effects of weather extremes, ranging from excessive heat to unseasonable frost. The canopy will also help keep birds and hail at bay.
Wow, I am surprised this hasn't been done before. I mean, I know many growers use bird netting, but this is like next level. According to one of TWE's, we'll call Treasury Wine Estates TWE for efficiency here. According to one of their technical viticulturists, the canopy will help reduce water consumption by almost a third. And TWE is already seeing some good results from the canopy in their 2024 vintage harvest, and I'm excited to see how this plays out.
Me too. Wineries will need a whole toolkit of strategies to adapt to climate change, and it's always heartening to see new methods being put to the test.
Speaking of new methods, let's jump to some higher tech. So, as TWE was implementing their new awesome canopy, they were also making some changes in their Barossa Valley winery. According to The Shout, TWE has launched an integrated automation and barrel handling system featuring 9 driverless forklifts, a custom barrel management software system, automated barrel washing and filling facilities, and individual barrel identification. Whew, that was a mouthful.
Wow. Okay, so what does this all mean? I've never touched a forklift or washed a barrel, so it's all a little lost on me.
All right, well, I've got you, Ruby. So typically at a winery, you would see who we call cellar rats. These are the folks who work in the winery, driving these little forklifts around just so they can stack and move barrels. So this is like very time consuming. The barrels are very heavy. It's a lot of work. So Barossa Valley Winery handles a lot of barrels of wine, and these are barrels bound for their Penfolds, Pepperjack, and Saltram brands, among others. We are talking 60,000 barrels. That is way more than a group of individuals can safely and efficiently move around in one building. So moving, filling, racking, cleaning, keeping track of all those barrels is so much work. Basically, TWE has installed an army of robots to take care of this work. So robot forklifts, robot cleaners, and huge robot arms for lifting barrels. I am dying to see this in action.
An army of robots taking jobs sounds a little bit apocalyptic to me.
Agreed, but I would like to put in a few words in defense of these job stealing robots. First, TWE does claim that employees were not laid off as a result, And they also mentioned that this technology improves safety at the facility, and I have to agree. When I was at Algas Brewing, we installed one of these giant robot arms that was used for palletizing our kegs, and it cut back so much on backbreaking work. Trust me, I still have some aches and pains from moving kegs, and that robot really saved my back.
Yeah, they also point to lower energy consumption as a result. And I'd be really curious to learn more about that. But one thing I'd also be curious about is how the numbers pencil out. I mean, as I recall from these articles, TWE invested 1 million Australian dollars in that netting and another 10 million in the robotization of their winery. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, but this is something that a smaller winery couldn't even begin to contemplate paying for.
These robots will apparently help increase production capacity by 60%, so there is definitely money to be made.
Well, let's just hope that money is made while preserving jobs, reducing energy consumption, and keeping everyone safe.
If anyone is interested in learning more about sustainability in the wine world, tune in to episode 121. We had Will Drayton, who is TWE's Director of Technical Viticulture, Sustainability, and Research, join us last summer for a conversation about reducing energy consumption at vineyards. So definitely check that out.
Listeners, we love your input. Each week we post our question of the week and we want you to weigh in. Last week we asked, is NA booze the future or a fad? And thank you to these folks who weighed in on Instagram.
First up is user R. Shrees, who tells us it's an option that people need. I couldn't agree more.
Yep, and the account for Para Wine Co. says neither the future or a fad. It, being non-alcoholic booze, is its own beverage category. Thanks, Sam Para, for weighing in.
At Generation NA, an NA bottle shop in Indiana, says it's not going anywhere with the shaka emoji, and it certainly seems that way.
Yeah, I have started to see more and more NA bottle shops, like entire retail stores devoted to this. Well, lastly, at Make Alcohol Small Coach, that's quite a mouthful, says here to stay and the two can coexist and even collaborate.
Totally. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, and you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn to weigh in on our question of the week.
Wait. We have a last minute entry. Okay. Mr. TODD says, why, when you can make cocktails out of THC that last 6 hours from one drink and don't leave you with a hangover? Mr. Todd, you did not really answer the question, but I can see why you would prefer 6 hours of being high over being drunk, I guess. Thank you for your response.
And the goal of the Four Top is not to get drunk, it's to enjoy wine in moderation.
Oh, Mr. Todd's trying to get high for 6 hours. So.
Mr. Todd has different goals. Well, guys, I am really sorry about this, but instead of a dessert course this week, I must eulogize an amazing woman who died far too young recently at the age of 49. I'm speaking, of course, about Naomi Pomeroy, legendary Portland chef who changed dining not only in Oregon, but in the United States and the world. She was famous for her starring appearances on many food television reality shows like Top Chef and Iron Chef, but what she brought to Portland was just this incredible work ethic and vision that really inspired a generation. Naomi tragically drowned in a river accident on the Willamette on July 13, and Portland has really been in collective mourning since then. So I just don't even know what to say other than cheers to an absolute icon.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This has been the Four Top Podcast. I am our executive producer, Catherine Cole.
I'm our producer, Nick Toole.
I'm Media and Design Manager Ruby Welkovich.
Keelan King is the composer and performer of our theme music, which I still maintain is the Song of Summer. Please visit our website, thefourtop.org, to learn more about us and listen to back episodes.
And if you have not already subscribed to The Four Top on iTunes or Spotify, please do so, and please leave us a rating.
Hey, y'all. This is important. Every rating feeds the algorithm and helps new listeners find the Four Top.
Well, with a brooding and cinematic score accompanying my exit, this is Catherine signing out.
And just to break up that brooding cinematic score with a From Vacation Land, this is Nick signing out.
And I'm going to go work on my farm in Brooklyn. This is Ruby signing out.